So I'm actually recording this explanation of question number 3. Now there's several parts that they want us to do on each of these. They want us to make a scatter plot and a line of fit and describe the correlation. That's the first thing they want us to do. So what we want to do is plot these points. We're going to begin with the coordinate 116. Now you got to be careful with the units that they use. Obviously on the x-axis they are going by single units, 1, 2, 3, 4. But on the y-axis it's going by 6, 12, 18. So when you plot these points, you got to be careful that you actually plot them accurately. So if we go to 16, it's between 12 and 18. Here's the 1, so you go to 16, it's between 12 and 18. And let's actually break this down. And the difference between 12 and 18 is what? 6. Okay, so halfway would be about 3, right? So about right here would be about 15, just to get a rough idea, right? Because halfway to 6, 3, so 12 plus 3 is 15. And you could fill it in accordingly if you want from there. You could put 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and obviously getting to 18. But we just got to have that idea of where the points will actually get plotted. So when we plot the coordinate 116, whoops, I was on the wrong one. 116 would be about right here. So we should all put that pretty fat dot above the halfway point, but not all the way to the 18. Okay. What I would like you guys to do right now is to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to pause this video, and I want you guys to take a couple of minutes and graph all these. Obviously, you can't graph this one. You don't know the output for 3 yet, but graph the 216, the 422, graph all these coordinates on that plane, graphing the scatter plot, and then we'll continue the lesson. So hopefully that's enough time for you guys to have plotted these points. Now, here comes the important part of today's section, the line of best fits, all right? So we need to create a line. I don't want you to draw anything, all right? Just watch me do this. I want to draw a line. And what I'm going to do with this line is I need to make it fit the best with all these dots by selecting 2 points. So obviously, if I pick the first and the second point, that would be a horrible line to pick, right? So you don't want to use the first and second point. Maybe the first and third point. That's still not that great. Maybe the first and that one, the fourth point, first and fourth, that's not bad, but all the points are below the line. Does that make sense? So you're going to keep trying, like obviously the last 2 points, that wouldn't be good either. These 2 wouldn't be good either. And it is kind of a matter of interpretation which you believe would be the best one that fits. But for the sake of checking your answers with the solutions, they actually pick these 2 points, the second and the second to last. And that is a pretty good line for that bit of information. So they picked, and I'm going to highlight it here, they picked this coordinate 216, which is right here, and also 734, which is up here. Okay, so they picked those 2 points. Since they picked it, those are the points that we're going to be, what? Okay, my bad, I apologize. But since they used, oh man, I am really messing up. Since they used those 2 points, we're going to be using those 2 points. So that's the line that best fits. We need to create an equation that represents this line that best fits. And since we use the coordinates 216 and the coordinate 734, we're going to use those coordinates and produce the equation with algebra exactly the way we did last week, right? So let's zoom in on these 2 points. And what do we begin with? If you have 2 points, what could you do with those 2 points? Anybody? That's right, slope. And the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, labeling them xy, xy, first point, second point. And whenever you use the slope formula, I recommend you use blank spots. It'll help you from making mistakes. And 7 take away 2. Okay. So what is 34 take away 16? I believe that is 18, right? 18? So we have 18 up on top over 7 take away 2 is 5 on the bottom. So your slope is, anybody have a calculator? Could somebody do 18 divided by 5? I mean, I could leave it like a slope, but I'd rather have a decimal. So 18 divided by 5 is 3.6. Was that exact 3.6 or was it, okay. So, I mean, many times you get a crazy decimal. You could round it off to 10 decimal places. So this is good, 3.6. And let's not be afraid to use decimals in our prediction equation. Anyway, that's our slope. We have some points. What would you like to do when you have a slope and points? Even before y equals mx plus b, if you have point slope, right? But yes, y equals mx plus b, we want to get there ultimately. But right now, since we have some points, we have a point and we have a slope, we might as well go for point slope form. And what is point slope form? There it is, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And of course, I always recommend using blank spots as you apply formulas or forms. That way, when you plug them in, you don't make any mistakes. The y1 value is 16. The m value is 3.6. The x1 value is 2. Now, this is in point slope form. And of course, we would like we mentioned earlier, slope intercept. Again, this is exactly what we did last week. So let's distribute 3.6 times x. It's simply 3.6x. And then 3.6 times a minus 2. That'll be a minus 7.2, right? 7.2. Of course, we have the equal sign. We have y. We have minus 16. I don't know why I used green. I don't like green. But anyway, let's get this 16 over to the other side. And we will have y equals 3.6x minus, no, plus, what is that? 8.8? Thank you guys so much. This is our line that best fits equation. I mean, it's one thing to be able to draw it. That's that blue line right there. But it's another thing to be able to come up with a specific algebraic equation that represents this blue line. Now, why is that a good thing? Because we could now predict. It's also called the prediction equation. Anyways, I might as well write this stuff down as I'm mentioning it. This is the line that best fits. Line, whoops, that's weird. I'm just going to go with it. That best fits. That's a line. It's also known as a prediction equation. So they actually ask us over here to predict for the input 3, what do we get as an output? So you could visually see that at 3 you would get somewhere between 18 and 24, but obviously we want something more precise. So that's where the prediction equation would come into play. We have y equals 3.6, and we are going to input the value of 3 instead of the x. And then at the end, add 8.8. Okay, so with the calculator, you would say 3.3 or 3.6 times 3. I think that would be 10.8. If anybody has a calculator, you could verify that for me. 10.8. Okay, and then we have plus 8.8. So we'd get a total of 19.6. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so that is the output for the given input 3. And that's what they wanted us to do. They wanted us to do several things. One of the things they wanted us to do was to plot the data and draw the line that best fits, picking the points, the 2 points that would give you the best line, and then getting those 2 points, getting your slope, writing it in point slope form, changing it to slope intercept. That's what we call the line that best fits. That's our prediction equation, and we could predict anything that's going to happen in the future based off of this prediction equation. So if I wanted to, I could plug in 10 and get an output by simply plugging in 10 right into the X, doing the math and getting my output. Anyways, that's an explanation of number 3. If you check your answers on Google Classroom, I wanted to mention that they say sample answer because it doesn't have to be the only answer, right? Maybe you thought that instead of the second point and the second to last, the way the book did it, maybe you thought that the first one and the second to last was a good combo, and that would give you a slightly different answer. That doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just depends on which you believe would be the best 2 points. So for the sake of getting the same exact answer as what the book has, I recommend using the first and last on the first one, the first and last on the second one, and the second to last on the third one, which we just did. Anyways, it's all on Google Classroom, and this video will be uploaded as well.